verdict in the Hernandez Govan trial. In case you missed it, that verdict came out roughly around 10:45 this morning, and it was not guilty on both counts. Hernandez Govan was accused of being the mastermind in the death of rapper Young Dolph. He is now a free man, free to go after 2 not guilty verdicts.
I never heard of that incident. You know, I heard of it, if you reverse it, I done heard of it that way, you know, the attempted hits on Dolph, but at that point, I hadn't heard anything about someone trying to do anything to Gotti.
Whatever money you get, save that bro, because they gonna need it.
Whatever you making on this YouTube, you need to put it on your life insurance, boy.
So, Hernandez Govan just became a free man, but not even a week into his freedom, he's already out here running his mouth in interviews, especially when it comes to Yo Gotti and his camp.
And that's when he mentioned to me, he was like, man, they ain't trying to do nothing about Dolph trying to kill Gotti.
But the problem is, people are already spotting the inconsistencies and slip-ups in his stories. And at this rate, Govan might either end up back behind bars, or worse, get taken out by the streets. Let's get into it. Now, the second the news of Hernandez's release hit the internet, the whole thing split people right down the middle. On one side, you had folks saying, the man went through the system. He had his day in court. The jury found him not guilty. Let him live his life and move on. But on the flip side, you had just as many people furious saying he's guilty as hell. He got away with murder, and this is nothing but a slap in the face to Young Dolph's legacy. There's no real justice here. Now, the first group, the ones trying to give him a pass, probably felt validated the moment Hernandez walked out of that courtroom. He came out looking humble, looking solemn, thanking people, talking about how all he wanted to do now was leave Memphis behind and spend time with his family.
I just want to say thank you to my attorneys, Manny, Robert, Haley, Beth, Handel, my private investigators, and Manny still helped me, you know, and he knew I was innocent. Everybody around me knew I was innocent.
It sounded like a man who just wanted peace. But the problem is, that's not what he's actually doing. The second the verdict came down and he was a free man, Hernandez wasted no time hopping on the internet. He's doing interviews left and right, running his mouth, and the more he talks, the worse it looks. Instead of keeping quiet and laying low like you'd expect, he's out here basically confirming things people thought were just rumors. For example, a lot of folks remember Cornelius Smith, the one who confessed during trial. He was painted as a junkie with a shaky story, someone who wasn't exactly a credible witness. People brushed off a lot of what he said, thinking he was just rambling. But now, Hernandez is out here talking, and in the process, he's accidentally backing up some of those same claims that Cornelius made. And that's where things are starting to look bad. One major red flag is when he claimed he never had any relationship with Yo Gotti, never met him, never did any kind of business with him.
Now, what's your relationship with Yo Gotti?
I don't have a relationship with him. I never met him, never did any business with him whatsoever.
But people aren't buying it. And that is because Hernandez himself has admitted that he and Big Jook, Yo Gotti's older brother, were very close and had been tight for years.
You and Big Jook had a relationship?
Yes, he was an associate of mine, yes sir.
You were how old when you met him?
Met Jook when I was around between 22.
You guys used to gamble together?
Yeah, that's how we met, gambling.
Okay, and you guys are like almost cousins?
Yeah.
So fans are like, how are you telling people you never met Gotti when you were moving around with his own brother? Even if he didn't have direct business with Yo Gotti, people believe that at the very least their paths had to have crossed at some point. And then there's another inconsistency that makes his whole "I don't know Gotti" claim sound even shakier. In the same breath, Hernandez talks about how he was working for CMG, Yo Gotti's label. He says he was out here signing rappers, scouting talent, basically playing a role in trying to build up the brand. He even went as far as saying he was trying to line up Straight Drop, who was later accused of being involved in Young Dolph's murder with a CMG deal.
2021, a few months prior to the actual shooting, you were actually working with Straight Drop to try to sign him to CMG.
I was.
And speaking of that, Cornelius Smith had testified in court, saying that Straight Drop's whole motive was money and that Big Jook had promised him a record deal. Well, now, Hernandez is out here confirming that exact same thing. In his own words, he admitted that he was sitting right there in the house with Big Jook and Straight Drop, and the conversation about music came up.
Reached out to Jook and asked him to come by and check the material out. And that's how it started.
Okay, so Jook is at your house. Is Straight Drop at your house also?
Correct.
So now people are connecting the dots. If Straight Drop was around Jook, hearing about deals, hearing about opportunities, then it makes sense why he thought that taking out Dolph would be his ticket in. Folks are saying Straight Drop probably thought that if he handled Jook's problem, if he took out his biggest op, then maybe he'll prove himself, and maybe he'll finally get that deal. Basically, he was trying to show his loyalty, thinking that if he did Jook this one favor, he could shoot his way into the industry and get his shot at stardom. But instead of going up, it backfired. Now he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. And Hernandez didn't stop there. He also mentioned that Cornelius Smith came by the house on that day. According to him, he thought Cornelius was just dropping by to grab drugs, as usual. He even said he told Cornelius to leave one because he was busy trying to lock in on getting Straight Drop signed. But then, Hernandez says Cornelius turned to him and asked, "They ain't trying to do nothing about Dolph trying to kill Gotti?"
And I went to the door and it was Cornelius. And I was under the impression that he just wanted some X bills or whatever like he normally did. So I told him to come back later. And he was like, no, it's important. So I stepped outside and that's when he mentioned to me, he was like, man, they ain't trying to do nothing about Dolph trying to kill Gotti.
Now this is where the internet went crazy. Because first off, Hernandez claimed that this was the very first time he ever heard that. He admitted that he knew Yo Gotti wanted to get Dolph out of the way. But the idea that Dolph wanted to kill Gotti? According to him, that was news.
Never heard of that incident. I heard of it. If you reverse it, I done heard of it that way, the attempted hits on Dolph, but at that point, I hadn't heard anything about someone trying to do anything to Gotti.
But fans aren't buying it. They're saying if Cornelius could casually bring that up in a place where Big Jook and Straight Drop were at, that means Cornelius already knew what that meeting was really about, which was using the promise of a record deal to get Straight Drop to handle business. So the way people are seeing it, Hernandez can play dumb all he wants. But the fact that Cornelius was comfortable enough to say that in front of him shows Hernandez was in the loop. That's why Cornelius didn't bite his tongue, because he already knew Hernandez was part of the bigger picture. And that lines up exactly with what Cornelius said in court about the conspiracy. Sure, Cornelius might be a junkie, his life might be messy, but as folks are pointing out, he wasn't lying about everything, especially not about that so-called meeting. And here's another big bombshell from Hernandez's slip-ups. He basically confirmed that Yo Gotti was trying to take out young Dolph multiple times. And if anybody needed proof outside of words, the streets are pointing to history. Young Dolph almost died multiple times before they finally succeeded. The first attempt happened in 2017 during CIAA weekend in Charlotte. Dolph's SUV was sprayed with over 100 bullets in broad daylight, just blocks from the arena where the basketball championship was taking place. It was chaos. Multiple cars were hit, and shell casings were scattered all over the scene.
This what happened. I'm standing up there. I seen him pull off right here. Yeah, pull off right here. Bro, a truck came from right here and pulled up and slammed on brake. And like a movie, bro.
There were even rumors that Dolph had already bulletproofed his truck before this happened, almost like he knew trouble was coming from Yo Gotti's camp. At the time, 3 men were arrested in connection with the shooting: Blac Youngsta, Frederick Black, and Antavius Gardner. They were all hit with multiple charges, including discharging a firearm into occupied property and conspiracy. But when young Dolph was asked about the arrest, he barely flinched. He wasn't bothered. He stayed locked in on leveling up and shining harder in front of his enemies.
One thing that I know for sure, and I've been knowing this shit for a long time, you kill your haters with success.
Right after the shooting, he even performed his Yo Gotti diss track, Play Wit Yo B. Then he doubled down, dropping 3 tracks inspired by the situation: 100 Shots, In Charlotte, and Bulletproof. Eventually, the charges against Blac Youngsta were dropped. according to court documents. In this case, the only evidence tying the defendant to the offense is a suspect vehicle that was rented by the defendant. There is no evidence that the defendant was driving the vehicle during the offense or even an occupant of the vehicle at the time of the offense. But it wouldn't be long before the second attempt on young Dolph's life would come. Months later, outside the Lowe's Hotel in Hollywood, that one almost took him out. He got into a fight with 3 guys in the valet area, got knocked to the ground, and then someone pulled out a gun and shot him multiple times. He was rushed into surgery and survived, but it was clear that somebody really wanted him gone.
He was shot. Detectives say 3 men approached him right in front of Lowe's Hollywood Hotel today, where all 4 were guests. There was a fight, young Dolph fell to the ground, and that's when one of the 3 suspects opened fire.
LAPD even named Yo Gotti as a person of interest based on witness statements. A man named Corey McClendon, one of Gotti's close associates, was arrested near the scene. Police even found a gold Escalade linked to the suspects not far away, but like before, charges didn't stick. McClendon got released, and no one's ever been officially charged for that shooting either. But even after coming that close to death, young Dolph didn't flinch. He wasn't shaken at all. In fact, people spotted him walking around solo not long after, like nothing happened. All he cared about was securing the bag and leveling up.
Things happen like you had happened to you. They have epiphanies. They have like life-changing moments. Just want to ask, has your worldview changed at all after what's happened to you?
Not really.
And then there was the actual murder of young Dolph, arguably the most tragic chapter in this whole saga. It happened in broad daylight, right in his hometown of Memphis. Dolph had pulled up to Makita's homemade cookies, a spot he was known to frequent and support often. That's when it all went down. 2 masked gunmen ambushed him outside the shop and shot him multiple times before speeding off in a getaway car. The whole thing was caught on surveillance footage, and just like that, Memphis lost one of its most respected voices. Now here's the million-dollar question that everybody's asking. Why in the world would Hernandez Govan hop on a public platform and basically incriminate himself and everybody else tied to this mess? Some people say he's just flat out dumb and doesn't know when to keep his mouth closed. But others are convinced there's something deeper going on. They think Hernandez might actually be working with the feds. See, sources are floating around this idea that the reason he's even free right now is because the feds don't really care about him. They're going after a bigger fish, Yo Gotti. According to this theory, Hernandez either already snitched, cut some kind of deal, and walked away clean, or the feds are letting him run his mouth on purpose so he can basically build the case against Gotti for them. And when you really think about it, it doesn't sound too far-fetched, because Hernandez sat there in front of the world and openly admitted that Yo Gotti had tried to get Dolph taken out multiple times. Combine that with the fact that Dolph had all those attempts on his life before his final demise, and it looks like Hernandez just connected all the dots out loud for everyone to hear. That's also why people are pointing out how Yo Gotti has been moving ever since Dolph's murder. Quiet, calculated, and very careful. He's not out here wilding like he used to, not drawing attention, because he knows eyes are on him. And if that wasn't enough to stir the pot, fans are bringing up Blac Youngsta too. Recently, he went viral after he suddenly took CMG out of his bio and claimed he was independent. Then he dropped a series of cryptic posts that seemed like he was low-key sending shots at Yo Gotti. He said, "I'm sick of these dudes, and I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to show them YNs there's more to life. I blame the fake OGs, the fake big homies, the fake big brothers, the fake CEOs, the fake teachers, the fake people in your life not telling you right from wrong. But I understand, it's hard to listen to BS from a BS person. I was once like you. I'm not afraid to admit it." He would continue with other posts, saying, "I'm cool on that fake love and loyalty from a few people that I realize been faking for too long at this point. I'm cool with standing alone. I'm cool with the fact that I have put trust in the wrong people. A few times I wash my hands. No more making it look good. We either cool or we not. Either way, I'm cool. I'm not like your favorite rapper. Allegedly, I live what I rap. Whole time dudes just sound good on songs. If I'm lying, God could take my soul out my body in the next 5 minutes. No cap. I cut a lot of people off that I thought was real like me. Now, everybody knows Youngsta was front and center during that whole Dolph versus CMG beef. He was the one screaming the loudest.
Where you at, dog?
See what happened, back? You see me? Dolph at, cuz.
Where you at, dog?
Where you at? Where you at? We in Castaigne right now. We just left the store. Where you at right now, dog?
And even after Dolph passed, he doubled down on the disrespect, shooting a music video for one of diss songs to Dolph, I'm assuming, and filmed it in a graveyard. In the video, he's rapping in front of a tombstone that says Thornton, which everyone knew was a direct shot at Dolph's real last name. That move stirred up huge backlash. People were shocked he'd go that far, especially so soon after Dolph's death. But still, Youngsta didn't seem to care. He addressed the criticism on Instagram saying, "I'm the type of dude who ain't never sat back and looked for nobody to feel sorry for me. I come from the heart of South Memphis, where you get no sympathy, don't even know what that is. With that being said, I could give two Fs what the world think about me." So now folks are saying that if even Youngsta is stepping back, maybe it's because he knows something. Maybe he sees the storm coming, and he's trying to get out of the way before the feds really crack down on Gotti and CMG. And that's the heart of the argument right now. People just don't believe Yo Gotti is innocent in all of this. Because for one, the only beef Dolph ever had that spilled out into the streets was with Gotti and CMG. So no matter how Hernandez tries to spin his story, the fingers are always going to point back at that camp. Now, circling back to Hernandez, another big reason people think he's guilty is because he was already showing his true colors before he ever sat down for Vlad TV or any other interview. Before that, he had already gone viral after a heated back and forth with blogger Seti Nash, who had been covering Dolph's high-profile case. Now Nash, as a YouTuber, had been very vocal about Govan and the other suspects, often saying he didn't buy their innocence. So when Hernandez got the chance, he confronted him directly. During this tense 13-minute conversation, Hernandez let it be known he wasn't happy.
I just don't respect, you know what I'm saying, man? You know how, you was putting the narrative out there, like I had something, like I was really in on it, you know what I'm saying?
The discussion escalated quickly. At one point, Hernandez even hinted that Nash's style of reporting could get him banned from Memphis. Nash pushed back, telling him to watch his tone, but Hernandez wasn't backing down. Instead, he went for the jugular, comparing Nash to kids who used to get bullied in high school.
I look at you as like little kids in high school that used to get beat up and now you got a voice since the internet has been invented.
And then came the part that sent chills through everybody watching. Before the conversation ended, Hernandez told Nash, "Whatever money you making on this YouTube, you need to put it on your life insurance." To a lot of people, that wasn't just trash talk. That was a flat-out threat, basically telling Nash he could kill him.
Whatever money you get, save that, bro. Because, nigga, they gonna need it.
You making on this YouTube, you need to put it on your life insurance, boy.
Although some folks brushed it off as Hernandez just doing it for clout or trying to look tough, maybe even a publicity stunt, but others weren't so quick to laugh. They're saying if he could say something that reckless in public, imagine the kind of things he's saying or doing behind closed doors. And it only adds fuel to the fire that this man really is who people say he is. So now here we are. To a lot of people, it looks like the whole Dolph versus Gotti saga is nowhere near over. If anything, it's just heating up again, and the next chapter might be even uglier than the last.